All right, in today's video, we're gonna be going over a case study of how we trained a 21-year-old sales rookie, right? Someone with zero experience, how we trained him into a top closer, how we connected him with a multi-seven-figure offer as his very first sales job and got him to $10,000 a month in less than 6 months of starting. Okay, this is without, sending out hundreds of DMs like what most people do. This is without bouncing from offer to offer. And this is also Giles coming in with zero prior sales experience. Okay, Giles is gonna be the subject of today's case study. And really the reason why we wanted to put this out, we have every single step of this, okay? From zero experience to being able to make $10,000 a month in a 6-month period. We have every single step of it documented, screenshotted of every adjustment that we helped him make, every challenge that he ran into and how he overcame it. Okay, I wanted to put this out there because there's a lot of stuff online. There's a lot of very surface level information out there, and I want you to use this as a guide that you can follow to a T, step by step, to go on and accomplish massive results in this space. Okay, this is definitely a video that you want to watch front to back. Skipping through it it's gonna be confusing. Every single stage of this process leads into the next step. So definitely get out a big ass piece of paper and let's get into it. So here's the evidence of the claim that I just explained. Here's Giles. He cleared 9.6K in commissions in August of 2023. And here's the screenshot that he got from his Wise payment that he received for that month. Here's the thing that you need to understand is that everything has changed in the high ticket sales space, right? Just going through like robotic sales scripts, role playing with random NPCs that you meet on the internet, and cold DMing business owners, praying for them to respond, just isn't going to cut it, especially if you have any level of goals in this space. In this video, I am going to pull back the curtain on every single step that we took to help Giles, a 21-year-old college student, on a direct path to working a soul-sucking 9-to-5 for the rest of his life. We're going to be breaking down exactly how we got him to 10 grand a month in commissions in less than 6 months and make days exactly like this his new normal. This is a $470 day in commissions, $820 day, $600 day, $570, $500, $975, $830, finally $1K. All of these screenshots are from a private WhatsApp group chat that we have set up with Giles between April and September of 2024. Did I say 2023? When I said August, I meant 2024. Anyways, who this training is for, okay? If you are looking to land a remote sales job, earn 10 grand a month in commissions, this is gonna be for you. If you work in sales already, whether you're an appointment setter or you do freaking car sales or any form of sales, but you lack the skill set and the network to find a role with packed calendars and warm leads, this is gonna be for you. If you've tried and failed in building online businesses in the past, this is gonna be for you. Who it's not for, okay? If you're looking for like just a side hustle, like something to do on the weekends and make a little bit of money, you don't really have any real career ambition, this isn't for you. If you want overnight success and you expect to be seeing massive results next month, I would just click off the video. And if you're not coachable and you're not able to implement and take feedback quickly, that's going to be a massive part of any high-level sales training. So if you know yourself and you know you can't do that, this isn't going to be for you. Now, let's get into it. The raw reality of high-ticket sales. This industry is exploding right now. We run an agency. We build sales teams for these companies, and we're doing it at a massive scale. We are on the front lines of this industry. This space is blowing up. There has never been such a high demand for closers, especially good closers, industry-wide. Our industry, the e-learning and online coaching market, is projected to grow from $315 billion to $645 billion by 2030, meaning that the space is essentially gonna double and triple over the next 4 or 5 years. And if you position yourself correctly, you can absolutely land a remote closing position, making 100 grand or more, dealing with only warm inbound prospects with complete control over your schedule and also your location, where you're not tied down to a spot, you're not tied down to a schedule. You work as an independent contractor, essentially almost as a business owner in a lot of ways, while still having the security of doing only the sales for a company that you work with without any of the marketing, the fulfillment, or the lead generation. Now, when it comes to getting to a 6-figure annual income and getting a gig where you can deal with these kinds of prospects or this type of lead flow, most aren't capable of doing it. And the reason why is because 1, they don't know how to find these roles, and 2, even if they did, they aren't able to perform up to the standard. of these roles, and they might land it for a couple weeks, they get dropped, and then nothing really happens, right? And most people just don't understand how simple it is to land a six-figure remote sales opportunity when you take a few short months to position yourself properly, taking intentional steps so that you can set yourself up with a nice base, a nice foundation to go and accomplish long-term success. However, if you were watching this video, you're already on the right track to stopping yourself from making a lot of these very common and simple and avoidable mistakes. Okay, here's what no one's going to tell you. Bottom line, it all comes down to your sales skill and your ability to sell yourself to the best opportunities. Right? A lot of people make it out to be that all that matters is the placement or the job or how many leads that you're getting. But really, like, that's just the last piece of the puzzle. Okay, if you don't have the other pieces, the rapport, tonality, authority, control, all right, a lot of the skills that makes a great high-performing closer, you're just never going to be able to compete with the ones that do. And if you want to be a great closer that can command the best opportunities, in this breakdown, we're going to be going over exactly how to navigate around some of the things I just mentioned, how to get to 10 grand in commissions and beyond. Specifically, we're going to be going over the entire step-by-step process of how we did all of this with Giles that got him this result so that you can reverse engineer it and replicate it for yourself. Okay, and I'm also going to show you how to do all of this, whether you have experience or you don't, doing absolutely zero cold outreach to land these roles. Okay, so first off, just a little bit of background before we get into things. My name is Misha Perov. Since 2019, I've personally sold millions over the phone and earned hundreds of thousands in commissions by the age of 23, along with my partners Dylan, Amon, and Rome. We've led a sales agency building and managing remote sales teams for a lot of the biggest names in the high-ticket coaching space over the last, 5 years now. And also at the same time, training and placing and working with hundreds of closers in this process. Okay, but it wasn't always like this. I got into this space. Well, initially, I first got into sales in 2017. So I met my partner Dylan actually at a high school basketball tryout in like grade 10 when we were like 15, 16. And Dylan through high school, he was building multiple businesses. Like he was successful in multiple different arenas at a really young age, and he was successful at a very high level, right? He was running a window cleaning company. He was going door to door, getting people's windows cleaned. And yeah, that's when I first started working with him. When I first started, we would work crazy hours, just pounding doors, getting everybody's windows super clean. We ended up scaling that operation from 2 people to 20, completely taking over our local market just north of Toronto, Ontario. A couple years later, well, first off, I mean, that was my first experience to sales. That was my first real experience to sales. And I think the reason why I went all in with this and the reason why I was so excited about the opportunity to make money on commission, especially being someone who wasn't like supernaturally talented, is because, my whole life I was working just like regular jobs, regular part-time, minimum wage type stuff. And when I found out that, there was a way to take control of your income, right? To make hundreds of dollars, sometimes thousands of dollars a day, regardless of my age, my experience level, just by developing skill sets and working hard. Like I was obsessed with it. This stuck with me. A couple years later, after high school, I went off to a business program. It's crazy because my entire life, like even from a young age, like both of my parents, they immigrated here to Canada, and I would see them working like bullshit 9-to-5s, jobs that, paid decent, that gave our family security, but that my parents really didn't like. I would see them wake up at 5 a.m. every single day, commute, work all day, come back, they're tired, they're exhausted, and they would do this for 10, 20, 30 years, right? And like I knew growing up, everyone asks you, what are you going to do? What's your career going to be? I had no clue. And even when I was going to school, even when I was going to business, like I had no idea what I was going to do. All I knew was I didn't want to get stuck in one of these 9-to-5s. I knew that, being in a freaking shitty ass office with fluorescent lights, sitting in a cubicle on my computer, doing the exact same thing every single day, I just knew that that couldn't be me. So the entire time that I'm in business school, right? Because friends, family, society, whatever, I ended up there. The entire time I'm there, I'm trying drop shipping, I'm trying crypto, I'm reselling shoes, right? I'm doing all of this. But nothing hit. The thing is like a lot of these side hustles, like I might make a couple $100 like here and there. but nothing really consistent, like nothing where I was actually making serious money that would justify me taking the next step and going full time, going all in. My goal was to be able to drop out of school, be independent, and stand on my own 2 feet, right? And after trying all of this and realizing that you need like multiple different skill sets all at once, that you usually need a lot of money and capital to invest into the business up front before you even start. And at the same time, you're competing with people who have been in the game for years longer than you. Like, it just didn't make sense. Now, in August of 2019, Dylan calls me up, and I'm really grateful for the fact that he reached out to me. In August of 2019, Dylan calls me up talking about high ticket sales for online coaching programs. He had been doing this for a couple years prior. So in like 2017, 2018, especially, he was closing solo, doing like 20, 30K a month at the time. What he picked up on was that these business owners were doing hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, selling $5,000 to $10,000 programs and packages with no sales team whatsoever. Right? These businesses were getting hundreds of thousands of dollars a month in revenue coming in, running ads, doing webinars with zero sales side of it, right? The term high ticket sales, high ticket closer didn't even exist at this time. There was no YouTube videos about this stuff. We saw a huge opportunity, especially like coming from, grinding and building these freaking Shopify stores, or like staying up till, or waking up at 4 or 5 a.m. to try to run my bot to get some hype releases for the chance to maybe make a couple $100 on a flip, right? I'm looking at an opportunity where I can sell a $5,000 program on a 15% commission and earn a $750 commission on a single call. And I would have multiple of these opportunities a day. Even in school, again, like I'm pretty introverted guy, like I'm not one of these like weird hermits, but I wasn't the most like outgoing, charismatic person. I wasn't like super fluid with my words. But I saw the opportunity and it just clicked. I just understood that, okay, this makes sense. This is a vehicle where I can accomplish the things I want. I went all in. So managing school and sales at the same time, right? I was doing like 2, 3K a month, working part-time between the months of November to, the early spring. Taking any free time that I had. I'm calling up leads. I'm trying to close deals. April of 2020 was my biggest month. I did 12 deals, collecting $57,500 in revenue, taking home $8,600 in commissions in a single month. This was a massive month, and here's the first invoice that I ever sent out, invoice number 1. Definitely a life-changing month. This is when I really proved to myself that I could drop out and go all in. At the same time, if you remember, April 2020, this is basically the month that COVID hit, especially in Toronto. Everything shut down. Everything shut down. They sent everybody home. What we did is we took advantage of that, right? So we hired out a team of about 10 of our friends from school. And by summer of 2020, we were pulling in $1 million months for our client while the world was shut down, right? So this office right here, this office behind me, we had just signed the lease to this place in like January of 2020, I believe. And nobody was showing up here except for us. We could just dominate this office. So we filled it up. 20 of our people, and we were pulling in $1 million months in revenue every single month just for the same e-commerce client that I started with. And having some early success with that first client, word began to spread, especially everything being shut down at the time. We were the only active high ticket sales agency that existed that would build sales teams for these online business owners. That gave us that early momentum that we needed. In the last 4 years, we've came a long way. Here are some images from some masterminds that we've done over the years with a lot of our remote team and the closers that we train. This is out in Miami. Here's in Toronto in our office. Here's a private event that we did out at a dinner. My partner, Dylan Blues, this guy right here, over the last few years, he has become one of the most well-known people in the online coaching space for building sales teams. We started taking on client after client at this point. When we proved what we were capable of on that one offer, we started working with guys like Ty Lopez, Eric Spofford, Justin Wall, Clinton Sparks, and the name goes on. And, basically put us in a position where we would only work with the best coaches, right? Any offer that wanted closers, but they had a shitty funnel and they weren't bringing in any serious lead flow, we would just turn them down. And we would just work with the best opportunities that had the most money in them. To this date, we have worked with over 40 coaches, consultants, and service providers in 12 different industries, generating tens of millions in high ticket revenue from our sales teams. In this entire process of doing everything that I've just described, out of necessity, we had to create a 3-phase training protocol to be able to hire and train closers at scale, right? So this allowed us to hire closers with zero experience, cut the learning curve for them completely, and have them ready to close on some of the highest profile offers that exist, in some cases as little as 30 days. Right? This training protocol that we're going to be getting into in this video, this allowed us to hire over 150 closers within our agency. And this is the foundation of our sales training company, the Millionaire Closers. Okay, this protocol worked so well. A few years ago, about 3 years ago, we had closers started approaching us. They, understood our experience and track record working with closers within our agency, and we knew that we could do a lot with up and coming closers, and basically just give them the exact training and placement they would need to start 6-figure careers as remote closers. Now, in December of 2023, Giles got in touch with us. Explained his situation. He was studying finance at the time in university, and he was looking for a way out before he got in too deep. He had been looking to get into high ticket sales for a few months prior. Again, coming in with no experience. He didn't know where to start. He understood the value of developing and really mastering a skill set like sales, and he understood what that could do for him. In December of 2023, we decided to work together. We spent the next 3 months training him. We put in a good word with a business owner in our network, and in April of 2024, Giles started closing. Our Millionaire Closer training protocol worked so well for him that within 3 months of starting sales part-time, he was able to hit his first $7K month in commissions, drop out of university, and end up flying out to Miami where he would hit his first $10K a month in commissions. Here's Giles right there. This is with our whole team. Here's Ramsey, here's Justin, also one of the closers on this offer that Giles was on. Michael in the back, Amon, Dylan, Rome, Dimitri over here. The Millionaire Closer training protocol is our playbook built through years of trial and error from our own and hundreds of sales reps experience, basically compiled into one robust strategy that can be repeated and implemented by anybody to produce massive commissions. In this video, we decided to break it all down for you. So in the following steps, we're going to outline A through Z of what we did to accomplish these results. And we wanted to put this out there so that you can use our playbook that we've already built out to start your career as a remote closer, earn your first commission check in the next 90 days, and most importantly, position yourself for long-term success, right? This is the key, okay? Making a couple $1,000 here and there means very little. You want to be able to position yourself to be able to go and make 5, 10, 20 grand a month every month. You want to go and be able to make 100 grand a year for years in a row and be able to exceed that every single year, right? So let's get into it. Here are the specific stages that we took Giles through in order to get it done for him. Okay, if you follow these stepping stones exactly, it is going to be impossible to not be successful. All right. A couple things. First off is training. Okay, this is the base. This is the foundation of everything that we do. Right? To be able to land the highest quality opportunities, to be able to perform once you get these opportunities, you have to train correctly. Okay. The reality is most people do not do this. And whether you have experience or you don't, if you do your training correctly, this is going to set you apart from literally everybody else who are interviewing for the same opportunities that you're going for. Okay. Role playing, building out your network, focusing on your weaknesses. We'll talk about all of that. Okay, 2 is actually landing the role, right? How do you go about landing an offer where you have that upside to make the kind of money that you want? And then from there, how do you grow within it, right? So we're going to talk about the steps that we took with Giles to get him transitioning into a full-time position with that first offer. And then finally, we're going to talk about scaling commissions. Okay, you've landed the offer, you've made a little bit of money. How do you get to the next level, right? How do you get to a place where you can do 10 grand a month or more? We're going to be going over 3 very specific steps that we took with Giles that he implemented right away, which would triple his commissions in less than 3 months. And then we're going to talk about everything that happened after that. To put him in a spot where he was able to drop out of school, rebuild his lifestyle, and position himself for a multi-year career in high-ticket sales, again, in less than 6 months in the game. Okay, the thing is, when you kind of like zoom out on the whole journey here, right, and you understand your priorities at each of these stages, This just turns into a game of inputs and repetition, right? Rather than constantly trying to figure out what your next move is going to be, watching a million YouTube videos and being in a constant state of doubt and uncertainty. So let's get into how we optimize each stage of the process for Giles so that he can go from doing role plays in his room with his freaking musty ass feet on his desk to being able to close deals while he's hopping on a yacht with his client in Miami in less than 6 months. Okay, first of all, training, all right? Most people see training as like hopping on a couple Zoom calls, you download some script that you find on the internet, do some role plays with like your mom or your brother or something, and then they expect to get to 10 grand a month. It just doesn't work like that. The thing is, the way that you want to look at it is sales is a sport. And if you want to play this sport at the highest level, you have to outwork, out-improve, and outlast your competition. That starts with the way that you train. Our training protocol is built in a way that almost exactly simulates what a week in the life of a high-performing, high-ticket closer will look like. In short, this is how we work with our closers. So this should give you an idea of how you should be structuring your training in your first few months working on this. So what we do with all of our guys, we run 10 group calls a week, basically 5 days a week, twice a day, where we're going over specific in-game situations that you see over and over as a closer, right? Understanding stuff is great. Watching videos, taking down notes, all of that is great. But where you really develop the expertise and the confidence is through applying all of it, right? So we go over all of it, every stage of the 10-step framework. We go over every specific type of buyer that you would run into on a high ticket offer and every objection that you would ever get, where we go deep on each one and we role play it live. On top of this, we get all of our guys going through like at least a 1 to 3 month period where they're doing 10 to 50 role plays a week, right? Again, nobody is going to do this, and that's what's going to set you apart. And the way that we do it, it's progressive, right? You're not just going to jump straight into the deep end, but you're going to start slow. We get all of our guys mastering steps 1 through 4 first. Once they're good with that, we move on to steps 1 through 9. We add in a presentation. We add in objection handling to it. And when you do this over a very short span of time, you can get really good at it. As you're doing the role play, you're listening to your role plays, you're reviewing them, you're seeing what are your weaknesses, what are your strengths, and then we work with all of our guys one-on-one to implement specific changes, right? So rather than taking like months trying to figure something out, we can just say, hey, you're really bad at asking questions at this stage of the call. Here are 3 questions that you should be asking. Go implement them next week, right? That's the idea, and that's how you should be coming at your training. So let's go a little bit deeper here, right? First off, role play. Over the last 5 years, we have tweaked and adjusted the 10-step closing framework very close to perfection. This framework is basically the foundation of everything that we've done on the sales side within our agency over the last 5 years. Okay, so this framework is going to be applicable to B2C offers, B2B. We use this stuff with 10, 20, even like $50,000 offers. And we also use this stuff with like $3,000 and $5,000 offers, whether you're selling e-commerce coaching, real estate coaching, fitness coaching, relationships, mastermind events. This framework can be tweaked and adjusted to basically any offer that you're on. What this allows you to do, really the core of the framework, is it allows you to build a gap between where your prospect is and where they want to be, okay, while at the same time allowing you to ask questions that are going to trigger an internal feeling of urgency as opposed to creating sales resistance and pressure. We use this framework to create an internal feeling of urgency so that our prospect feels the need to take action now without any like weird salesiness, right? That's the idea. We want to keep it in a very conversational fashion, right? When this is done correctly, the prospect doesn't even know that they're being sold, right? The entire purpose of this framework is you want to be the opposite of a salesperson, right? The moment that you go through reading a sales script, right, it's very easy. Like you can tell if you're having a conversation with someone, if they're going through a scripted process, right? Instantly, it's like you identify, okay, this person's a salesperson. He's going to earn a commission if he closes me. All right, I'm going to be on guard for this entire conversation. I'm not going to loosen up. I'm going to see if this guy's trying to, take my money, right? Instantly, you create that level of distrust. And that's why mastering a framework like this is so important. This is a framework, not a script. This allows you to be fluid in the conversation and make adjustments based on who you are speaking to. all these salespeople out here, all these high ticket closers go through the exact same conversation over and over, and then they wonder why they can't make more commissions. It's because they treat completely unique people as the same person. They have the same conversation with them, right? This framework, it's highly effective, easy to learn, not at all easy to master, but if you can master it over time, you will reset the minimum amount of money that you will make in a month for the rest of your life, okay? Role play is the key to getting that done. Most salespeople role play, but they do it wrong. Think of yourself as a boxer, right? If you show up to the boxing gym every day and you're sparring with 10-year-olds, right? And you're knocking everybody out, you're not getting any better, right? A lot of salespeople, they'll role play with other people who aren't really that good at sales, who don't really have the context, and they just kind of go through the motions. They're not improving. As opposed to if you're a boxer and you're sparring with someone who's way better than you, who's beating you up, this is going to challenge you. This is going to get you to a different level, and this is going to get you significantly better at sales, right? You got to be role playing with heavyweights if you want to be one. So let's get into exactly how we trained Giles to prepare him to close for a 7-figure offer within 3 months of training. Okay, so Giles, in December when he started working with us, he had like vacations, family stuff, things like that. January 1st was when he made a commitment to go hard on role play and training. So first off is the live role play. Okay, this is live role play that we do with our guys in a group setting. So what we do is 5 days a week, we train specific steps of the framework, types of buyers, and objections. Multiple times a week, I would put Giles on the spot live to role play a concept that we had just trained where I would be the prospect, right? It's funny because I was talking to Giles right before we made this case study, and he admits, like, to this day, he's still nervous doing them. But him putting himself out there, him being able to, role play live in front of everybody, make mistakes, is a big reason as to why he was able to develop his skill set so quickly. Okay, now let's get into his role play schedule. So outside of the group stuff that we would do, Giles would be role playing on his own with guys in the community. So pictured here is Giles's role play schedule in January of 2024. So as you can see, routinely, he's doing 3 to 5 role plays a day, in some cases more, right? And setting up a Google Calendar like this is going to be key in just time management and getting the most out of what you're doing, right? By doing this, in a span of 3 short months, he was able to cross the 200 role play mark before starting on the phones. Okay, now quantity and quality. Okay, just doing the role plays isn't enough, right? Just going through the motions. Like there's a lot of salespeople that I talk to who have, I have 10, 20 years of experience, doing X, Y, and Z thing. And a lot of these people, they have 10 years of experience just reading a script over and over. Like the amount of times that you have read that script means nothing to me, right? What is your skill set? What can you actually do, right? That's why when you're practicing, these need to be intentional, okay? Where you're sharpening specific skills, where you're getting better at specific moments of the sales conversation that we see over and over and over again, okay? Below, this is the 6-week role play plan that we share with our clients. I'd recommend that you screenshot this so that you can use this for yourself as you're practicing your role plays, right? So usually first week is really just learning and understanding the 10 steps. Week 2 and 3, we get our guys starting with the intro, agenda, situation, and vision, steps 1 through 4, right? Just getting comfortable with it, just getting natural with it, right? Same thing with steps, just with this full 1 through 4 process, right? The key is being able to go through it, get through a situation and vision-based section of your conversation without sounding like a robot, right? Once we get over that, we add in the second half of the call, right? So we add in objection handling as well. And then we move on to, once you've kind of gone through the full 10 steps, you've added in a presentation, you've added in objection handling, that's where you want to start setting up key scenarios, right? Challenging prospects, 10% of your buyers are going to be easy sales, 10% are going to be impossible to close. The 80% in between are going to be skeptical. They're going to be dry and vague. They're not going to be really engaging in your conversation. They're going to be trying to dominate the call, asking for the price, big ego, things like this, right? That we get all of our guys role playing and prepping so that before they take their first high ticket sales call, they've already dealt with it dozens of times and they're confident. Okay, that's how you should be structuring your role plays, right? So some kind of group session, daily role plays every single day so that you can get really comfortable with every stage of the process. And then added into that is that intention to your growth, right? Taking it step by step, week by week, and progressively getting a little bit more challenging as you go. Okay, you do that over a month or two, you're going to get significantly better in a short amount of time. Let's get into the network, because I think this is really important. This is a big reason why I was able to, see the results that I did. This is a big reason why I was able to clear 6 figures in commissions before I turned 20. Is because I was surrounded by some of my best friends, right? I was grinding, I was going hard, but I was also doing it with people that I genuinely enjoyed, right? I was having a great time while I did it. If you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, you go together. Warren Buffett, one of the richest people in the world. Aside from having quality role play partners that's going to push you to be better, just finding a group of like-minded guys is crucial for a couple reasons, right? One is accountability, right? If anyone on my team is slacking, even for a day, 2 days, 3 days, I'm like, yo, what's going on? Where are you at? We got work to do, right? There's that social accountability that's there. When you link up with other guys and you make friends in the space who are on the same path as you get more feedback, right? Where you guys can go back and forth. They can tell you where you're going wrong. You can tell them where they're going wrong. There's shared learning where if you have 3 people who are on a mission to develop a skill set, you're going to learn lessons and skill sets 3 times as fast as someone who's just doing it on their own. And honestly, the fourth and most important one is just more fun, right? Giles took this advice very seriously. He would build up relationships on the inside. He would be connecting and organizing meetups with other guys. Giles is based out in the UK. So he linked up with some of the guys who were based out of there, and they would set up role play sessions just like this, where every weekend they're linking up, they're role playing, they're sharing notes, they're sharing stories, and they're getting better, right? Massive, massive part of your growth. Now, finally, is turning weaknesses into your strengths, right? So this is kind of what I was touching on when we spoke about quality and quantity. Many salespeople, they either don't know what their weaknesses are, or more commonly, it's just too uncomfortable to recognize and address a flaw in their skill set, so they do nothing, right? Like when you hear your voice on video, right? Recorded, it's kind of uncomfortable, especially when you hear yourself messing up a call and you have to relive a bad sales conversation, right? It makes you cringe sometimes. So a lot of people just do nothing. That's what we call brokey behavior, okay? Making money, being successful, developing skills isn't easy. If you expected it to be comfortable, you're in the wrong place, right? If you want to make great money in sales, part of it is becoming fully comfortable with your weaknesses and relentlessly working on them until they become strengths. In Giles' case, so through the training, his biggest weakness was his tonality, right? He would sound like a dead fish going through his calls. He would just be kind of going through the call very monotone. He wouldn't really use his tonality, right? He wouldn't stretch his voice to get certain responses from his prospects. And this led to just very vague surface level responses and missed deals, right? Like for example, right? Imagine you're in your situation base, you're trying to find a pain point and you're like, okay, so how does that make you feel? As opposed to, hey, so how does that make you feel? Right? It's just a totally different ball game, right? Rule number 1 in sales, people buy because they're in pain. The only way to get your prospect to open up about their pain is by asking probing questions that sometimes get really personal, but you have to do it with the right tonality so that you don't trigger any defensiveness or anything like that. So we saw this coming up on a bunch of role plays with Giles. Every week we would listen to his role plays and we would work with him one-on-one to fix this, right? So here's a perfect example. My partner Rome listened to his call, sent him a 5-minute voice note breaking down what was wrong with his tonality and what steps he needed to take to improve it. Credit to Giles, he would implement the feedback very quickly. And he was able to turn his tonality actually now as one of his strengths. So that's what training looks like, right? It's a lot of role play, as you can see, but it's role play that's intentional, where you're focusing on your growth, you're focusing on getting slightly better with each role play, and that's how you can condense the amount of time it's going to take you to get good at anything. Now let's talk about how we landed him the role that would eventually allow him to earn that 10 grand a month. Okay, most closers, what they do is they waste months reaching out to online offers through Facebook groups, Instagram DMs, and other public job posting sites and communities. They're almost always met with 2 kinds of responses, right? So the offers with the big brands, warm leads, great commission structures, the offers that you want to be working with, majority of them would just leave him on scene. And the few that would respond would ask, hey, so what's your track record selling other kinds of offers? Hey, do you have any call recordings that you can give us? What are your KPIs that you've had in the past? Most closers usually have no high ticket track record or a very weak track record at this point. And the only offers that would entertain them would be the ones that were desperate to find anybody to sell their stuff. And there's a reason why those offers are desperate to find anybody to sell their stuff, because they don't have a good offer, they don't have a good commission structure, there's no money to make there, right? So it's like this whole track record thing effectively blocks out 95% of people from these high quality roles, right? Because you're judged based on your prior experience in most cases. I personally think that's nonsense. Most of the closers that we've worked with, a lot of the best ones that we've worked with, came in with no experience. I came in with no experience, So we're going to get into how we overcame this. The only way for Giles to find a lucrative high ticket offer was to, one, get an introduction with someone with a proven track record, and two, was to just be better at sales than the other people applying. When we started working with Giles, our number one priority was to give him a clear pathway where through hard work, through training, he would be able to land a lucrative role once he was confident with the 10-step framework. Okay, after completing 200 role plays, implementing all of the feedback that we gave him, Giles was more than equipped to start closing, and we gave him the green light. My partner, Dylan Blues, we spoke about earlier, has a massive amount of credibility and connections in the online coaching space. A friend of ours with a multi-seven-figure online coaching offer that had been around for the last 4, 5, 6 years, I believe, reached out around this time looking for closers. There's a few really good things about this offer that we liked a lot, and this is the exact kind of opportunity that we love connecting closers with. Number one was this, a 20% commission on 500 to 3.5K deals, right? Slightly lower ticket, but commission is definitely big. 10 to 15% is pretty standard, so this was great. Outside of this, a big personal brand, hundreds of thousands of followers, he's been in the game for a long time, has that credibility. He had a combination of organic and paid marketing, leading to consistent, steady lead flow month over month, multi-six-figure monthly revenue at the time, and great product and delivery. Okay, before a sales job interview, a lot of closers, they'll watch a YouTube video, they'll ask ChatGPT, what should I do? What questions should I ask? Meanwhile, Giles had spent countless hours training every single part of the sales conversation, every type of buyer, every type of objection, allowing him to show up to the interview, run a role play with the hiring manager, and just blow him away with his skill set. We see this over and over and over again, right? Because again, everybody is just reading a script, they run through it a couple times, and then they just hope that their energy or something is going to get them the job, right? But we hear this all the time from our closers. It's like they'll hop on and they'll ask some really quality questions, or, they'll go about objection handling in a certain way that just shows that they're experienced, where people don't really look at, what's on your resume or what's on your piece of paper, but they just judge you based on what you can do, right? And that's, again, why role play and the training earlier is so important. We put in a good word for Giles. He crushed the interview. He was hired alongside a few other closers we were training at the time. So Giles started on outbound calls where he would call up leads who had attended a hour-long webinar, and then they didn't purchase the offer that was made at the end of that webinar, right? So they had spent an hour learning about the offer, learning what was up, but they just didn't buy at the end for whatever reason, right? Still balancing his sales schedule with school, he put up a big fat donut his first week on the phones. He didn't close anything, which, I'm sure was really frustrating for him. I used to have this belief over the last few years that top producers always close on their first day. And I remember hearing about this, that his first week went bad, and I'm like, that's not good. But I've been proven wrong multiple times, especially over the last year. I no longer think that's the case. We're going to get into why in a second. We continued training Giles through this period, right? So he was struggling. We kept training him. He's hopping on group calls. On a Friday night objection handling training, I picked on Giles. I told him, hey, Giles, I just want to think about it, right? We went through the motions. He crushed the objection. He did a really good job. He had everybody on the call hype. I was hype hearing it, especially knowing that his first week wasn't going too well. That exact same night, he kept dialing until 2 a.m. UK time and sealed his first deal. This right here is a really cool message. Just closed my first ever deal. Huge thanks. managed to turn someone who had no job, no money, no real path ahead of them into someone who wanted to whip out their credit card and really make a change in their life. Finished up a solid objection handling role play on the call with Misha, and that momentum continued onto this call. Can't thank you all enough, and I'm so pumped. That's awesome. The thing is, okay, in sales, right, you are always going to run into cold streaks. You should not expect that things are always going to be going good. It's a game of peaks and valleys. The cold streaks will come, and the game comes down to your ability to hit a cold streak, right? Go through a slump, fix your mindset, make an adjustment in what you're doing on your calls, make an adjustment in your approach, and then come back again the next day with twice the energy and twice the enthusiasm. That's not easy to do when you're going through a little bit of a slump, right? But that right there is exactly what's gonna determine your success in this space. A lot of people hit a slump and then it's just a downward spiral and then they give up. Your success comes down to this. And going through this early was a big part of the reason why I think Giles ended up outperforming everybody else on his offer in the next few months. So after clearing 2 G's in commissions his first month on the phone, Giles reached out asking for some advice on how to get to the next level. The advice that I would give him on that call would eventually double his commissions. So let's get into exactly what that advice was. I was getting intentional, right? I see the exact same problem happen with new closers all the time. Your sales day is a blur, right? You think you're being productive, you're taking a million calls, you know, you might lose a sale, but it's whatever, on to the next one, on to the next one. And then, you know, you have a bad day and it's like, okay, fuck it. Let's go into tomorrow and let's hope things get better, right? That's what happens. You go into the next day hoping the leads are better. You hope that you're in a better flow, only to get stuck doing the exact same thing that you did yesterday and you see the same results that you saw yesterday, right? And it's not that these closers are lazy, right? It's not that, but because I experienced this for a little while myself in my first couple of years, right? It's not that you're lazy. It's just you don't know what to do differently to close, right? You know, you want to move past a bad day, but then, you know, if you don't make any real intentional adjustment to what you're doing, you're just going to continue to see the same results, right? And for Giles, that wasn't going to cut it. Luckily for him, I've been in the same spot. I figured it out for myself by using this tool that I'm about to get into. And we've actually implemented this as standard practice with all of our closers within our agency. What we did was we set up his daily sales tracker, right? So this is what it looks like right here. This is the exact tracker that I used when I was taking 25 book calls a day, right? When I'm taking 25 book calls a day, I'm talking to so many people, you know, I'm closing some, a lot of them I'm not closing, and then you're just going call. At the end of the day, you're tired, you're exhausted. The last thing you're gonna do is like relive the last 25 calls that you had, right? So then you just go into the next day and you forget about all of it. What this allows you to do is to track every single conversation, every single person that you speak to. You note down the reason for a deal or no deal. You block off all of the unqualified people that aren't worth thinking about, and you highlight the missed opportunities. You might have 2 people that were missed opportunities, 2 qualified leads, but let's say they just had an urgency problem, right? Great, urgency was the issue here. We'll write down some positives. Here we'll implement an actionable that's going to increase urgency, right? Maybe we ask a consequential question, right? So you'll write down in your adjustments, ask consequential questions with non-urgent buyers, right? You'll write down a couple KPIs, and then you do this every single day where you make an adjustment surrounding the missed opportunities that you had. As long as you actually implement this adjustment, slowly you're going to start closing those missed opportunities. And when this is used correctly, we've seen like 10, 20, 30% jumps in close rate in very short periods of time. Here's a screenshot from Giles too. So we spoke like end of April, right? A couple days later, just been using your daily sales tracker all of today. Somehow makes me feel a lot better on calls. No more guesswork. I can actually see objectively what I need to improve on. Yeah, that's the whole point of it. All right, so the thing is in sales, right? Again, we speak to the exact same kinds of people with the exact same problems. We pitch them the same solutions every single day. Okay, the only reason why you wouldn't master that conversation is because you haven't taken the time to just get intentional and track where your areas of weakness are. These changes compounded over weeks led to massive jumps in commissions, and in Giles' case, that's exactly what happened. So his first month, he went from barely doing 2K. The next month, he made what he made in 2 weeks in 2 days. So $420 in commissions, less than a week after that first message. $470 in commissions. These are both single days, right? Where he made $900 in commissions in 2 days, making what he made in 2 weeks in 48 hours, right? That's the power of getting intentional about what you're doing. So at this point, May, he cleared 3.1. Again, still doing this part-time, right? So 2 months in the game, he'd made a total of like 5K in commissions. We knew Giles had a lot more in the tank. Moving into June, Giles cleared his schedule of everything else and committed to closing full time. Okay, so now let's get into how we actually scaled his commissions. At this point, Giles is picking up momentum. He's outperforming a lot of the other guys that started at the same time that he did, and he had just doubled the amount of time that he could spend closing prospects. He reached out for some guidance. We hopped on another call. We went over 3 steps which would triple his commissions in the next month. Okay, let's get over exactly what these steps, or let's go over exactly what these steps were and how you can use them as well. Because honestly, I would give this feedback to most closers. One is increasing inputs. Okay, this one seems very simple and very obvious, but to a lot of people, for whatever reason, it's not. Sales is an inputs to outputs equation. Okay, you get what you put in. Setting goals and aiming high is great, but if your inputs don't directly correlate to those results, you're in fairy tale land, right? If you make 3K 1 month and you're like, okay, next month, let's make 10K. That's my goal. Okay, like what are the actionables there? What are the steps that you're gonna take to go and get to that mark? If you made 3K last month doing what you're doing, what are you gonna do differently to triple your commissions, right? One of the key skills that new sales reps need to learn is how to work hard, right? To push your limits of what you think hard work actually is. Giles at the time, he would go through 50 leads a day. I challenged him to aim for 150, right? I told him to dial every lead that he had 3 times until he would get new leads. At first, he didn't think it was physically possible, right? He was like, oh, but I'm doing 50 calls a day already. Like, I'm not being lazy. How am I supposed to triple the amount of calls that I make? I remember basically having this exact same experience when I was first starting out. My mentor, Dylan, I was taking 15, 20 book calls a day. Dylan told me, yo, you need to be doing 100 dials on top of this. Like, you can do it. And I'm like, what? How do I do it? How do I find time with it? But when the bar is set high with your inputs, it forces you to reshape your perspective, right? And that's exactly what happened with Giles. He took it to a different level. All of a sudden, just by giving him that one piece of advice, he was able to triple the amount of offers that he made. He actually broke the company record for the most outbound sales made in a single month that same month. Okay. Now let's get into the next thing. Well, really quick, just to kind of tie this all in, increasing inputs, right? This is the easiest step that you can take. It's going to have the biggest effect on your commissions. Get more productive throughout the day. Increase your talk time, right? How many minutes every single day are you talking to prospects? Okay. Figure out how to set a goal that's super ambitious when it comes to those inputs, and then work all day to hit that goal. You're going to come short of it a lot of the times, but by pushing yourself, you're going to get a lot more. You're going to be able to squeeze a lot of juice out of your sales day compared to other people who are, again, just kind of going with the flow, doing the bare minimum. Next thing was anchoring high. This is a big one. I told Giles to pitch his upsell to every single prospect that he had. So before we spoke, Giles would pitch his prospects the base offer of 500 and then give the prospect the option to upgrade their purchase to a 2K offer. So basically it would go something like this. It'd be like, okay, this is our offer, it's $500. They would say, okay, great, sounds good, let's do it. Great, awesome, here are the next steps. Oh, and by the way, like, do you want to upgrade to the 2K also? Here's what you would get. I think the number was like less than 5% of people would take that 2K, obviously. But the thing is, according to the rules of the offer, like, this is how everyone was doing it. This was just like the way that the offer was built out, and this is what the reps were told to do. I heard this and I told them it was the dumbest thing. Here's just a rule of sales: is you have to anchor with the highest number, right? Like, imagine it like this. Like, if you're in Best Buy and you're getting a TV and you see a TV that's $2,000 and the 2,000 is crossed out and they're selling it for 500. You're like, holy shit, that's an amazing deal, right? Whether you have the 500 or you don't, you're very likely to go and buy that TV, right? On the flip side, if you see a TV that's just $500, you're probably gonna think, okay, that's a shitty TV, right? That's it. And that's exactly what happens on sales call. in sales and just in anything, there's a lot of psychology that goes into pricing, and you always want to anchor with the high number. But here's the problem, because I see this with all my closers, especially the new ones coming in, is they're afraid to pitch higher because they think that their prospects can't afford it, and that it's going to scare them away and then kill their chances of closing a lower ticket deal. Therefore, they settle, right? On my team, we call this bitching out. Right? It could be bitching out, or it could just be you don't know how to properly neutralize, reframe and transition into a downsell. But regardless, I told him to ignore the rule completely. I told him to go against what his manager was telling him and pitch the 2K every time. In most cases, I would say never do that, but in this case, I gave him the green light. 3 things happened immediately after. People magically, who he wouldn't pitch the 2K to because he'd think that they couldn't afford it, magically, those people started coming up with 2K. They were able to find it. They were able to get creative, right? The people who couldn't afford it, the people who couldn't afford the 2K, they perceived the 497 downsell as lower cost and higher value when compared to the 2K. And as a byproduct of that, they wouldn't split pay. They wouldn't ask for payment plans. They would get the 500 in full, right? And the fact that he was doing payment plans for 500 was also surprising when I heard that. But, that's a different story. After he closed his first 2K going against the rules, his leadership team was actually happy with it. They removed the rule, and then he broke another company record for total upsells, total 2Ks closed in a single month. And here's some screenshots of when that happened. Only pitching my prospects upsells now, closed 2 today. Actually crazy, because then if they need a payment plan, he just splits the PIF and the upsell. Either way, they at least PIF. Yep, that's simple. Right, now resetting standards, okay? Now this is the last and most important thing that I spoke about with Giles, was this standards conversation. After trying, just a little bit of context here, right? Just think about this and put yourself in Giles's shoes for a second, right? You try countless business models for years, right? You see little to no results. You're grinding, you're hustling, and you're not seeing any positive feedback from it. Right? After that, you spend months training and grinding sales, right? Again, with zero experience, unsure of, hey, how's it going to work out? Am I going to be successful? Am I not? A couple months later, he's pulling in thousands of dollars of commissions a month, closing deals consistently, making more money than a lot of the people around him, and outperforming most people on his team, right? In sales, whether you're at 5K, 7K, or 20K, it's very easy to pat yourself on the back, feel good about yourself, and get complacent, right? The moment that this happens, you lose the initial drive that got you there in the first place, you lose the momentum, and before you know it, you're back on the bottom, right? I have seen complacency kill so many careers, it's crazy, right? People who come in with massive talent, who are better than people who were better than me when I first started, who are outperforming me, right? They would be making good money. They didn't learn the skill set of resetting their standards and having that internal mental conversation, and because of that, their careers would go south. Success comes down to the standards you hold and who you compare yourself to. Giles sent me a screenshot of the sales leaderboard at around this time. He was on the top of the leaderboard. I think Giles was sending it to me, because he was like, oh, like this is a great accomplishment, I'm doing good, and he was, right? But I think he was looking for some kind of positive feedback from me on that, right? And I saw that, and I'm looking at all the numbers that these guys are putting up, and I'm thinking in my head, if I'm on this offer, I'm not even comparing myself to any of the other closers, right? I told him being first isn't enough, that he needs to be able to dominate the guy in second. He needs to be able to double, triple the amount of numbers that they're doing, right? I told him his numbers were weak, and there are very few positions where you truly have a uncapped earning potential with zero downside risk. Right? This doesn't really exist. In most cases, you have to put up a bunch of money, build a business, take a bunch of risk, and then you have the uncapped earning potential. In sales, you're able to make as much money as you want just by doing one thing without having to put up any money, with leads just being handed to you every single day. In every single case that I've seen, after working with hundreds of closers over the last few years, the only thing stopping someone from hitting new levels of commissions, from breaking personal records, is the subconscious limits that they put on themselves, right? It's the standards that they set for themselves. The thing is, when you know for a fact that you're capable of accomplishing 10, 20, 50K, okay, and you make it a standard, you say, you know what, looking at my offer, looking at what's possible right now, I might be doing 4K, but like I can be doing 15. And you know what? That's my new standard. 15 is my North Star. That's my number. And I'm not going to stop until I get there, right? Once you make that a non-negotiable, you take the actions necessary to get there. The problem is most closers either don't have standards at all or they set the bar too low. They like everybody wants to make more money, right? Oh, I'm making 5K. I would love to make 20. I'd like to get there. But it's not a non-negotiable. And by definition, you negotiate with yourself along the way to not go the extra mile. Like, think of it like this. Let's say halfway through the month, it's the 15th of the month, and you're at 7K in commissions, right? There's two kinds of closers in this situation. There's the closer who's, okay, nice, I'm at 7K, great. I'm on track to clearing 10K easy this month. This is awesome, this is amazing. Right? And then they slow down in that last 2-week period and maybe they barely hit that 10K mark, right? Or there's the other closer that's like, okay, cool, I'm at 7K halfway through the month. Okay, I'm a little bit short. How do I get to 20? I'm gonna have to double my inputs. I'm gonna have to go twice as hard so that I can get to the next level, right? It's that internal conversation, right? And it's the standards that you set for yourself to get you to go the extra mile, right? That mental conversation, that's gonna be the difference between you going the extra mile, taking the extra hour on calls, doing your follow-up, not taking no for an answer, handling the objection a little bit harder. And that's what separates people that make 20 and 10K a month, for example, right? The problem is most people, they wait for the results to make it a standard. Okay, once I start hitting 10K a month, that's when I'm gonna make 10K my standard, right? When the standard needs to come first in order to get the results, okay? And this becomes harder as you hit new levels. Like imagine you're making 20, you're going to feel good about yourself, especially if you've never made that amount of money before, right? It becomes a lot easier to get complacent. But this message isn't for everybody. This message is for the ambitious few that truly want to use sales as a vehicle to create life-changing wealth, okay? If that's you, you have to be very aware of the mental conversations that you have with yourself, and you have to constantly be readjusting your goals so that your actions are in alignment with those goals. Okay, and this is exactly what I wanted to talk about with Giles, because I could tell he was, he had a lot of potential and he was moving fast through everything, right? So it was important that we spoke about this as well. Keep in mind, before we made any of these changes, Giles was struggling to build momentum, barely clearing 3K a month in commissions with no direction on how to get to the next level. These 3 changes, okay, using the daily tracker to increase his close rate, pitching and closing higher ticket deals, and aligning his actions with his goals, took Giles from 3K a month to 7,100 in less than 60 days from having that initial conversation. Okay, in the next month, he would hit 10. Let's talk about how. Network, environment, and vision expansion. At this point, Giles had proved to himself that he could take control over his income and see massive jumps in commissions with very small changes to what he was doing. That's a really powerful feeling, by the way. Like when you see yourself, you make a slight change to something and then you see a jump, it makes you realize, oh wow, like my income actually is in my direct control. And then that's when you start thinking bigger. That's when you start challenging yourself on getting to completely new levels. That's a different story though. Now it was time to take it to that next level for Giles. I see high ticket sales being promoted and marketed as something where you kick back, you take a few book calls, and you go live in a treehouse in Thailand. This is not how it works, okay? The way that I've always looked at this from day one is that sales is a vehicle in which you are paid in direct proportion to your level of personal development, okay? And the guys who understand that early are the ones who see the fastest results, regardless of skill set coming in. The biggest jump that you can make in your personal development is leveling up your environment and the people that you surround yourself with. After scaling dozens of sales teams and working with hundreds of closers in Toronto and remote over the last 5 years, we've realized that, really the turning point from being an average producer to being someone that's capable of earning hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in commissions is getting in the room. It's surrounding yourself with people who are operating at a level 2, 3, 5 times higher than yours, right? And that's why 2 years ago, it was important for us to put together an in-person sales mastermind at our headquarters in Toronto for our clients twice a year, right? So we do this usually winter and summer of every single year. And we do this so that everyone in attendance can network, one, with other like-minded closers, but also to receive hands-on training from myself and some of our agency's all-time top performers. In Giles' case, he flew in from the UK to attend our 4th mastermind in late July. At the event, we had him and others at the front of the room role-playing key scenarios, dissecting their approach. Here's Giles, Justin, and Dylan. These guys were role-playing back and forth. I think they did like 2-3 role plays where we had everyone in the room criticizing them, also calling out things that they were doing good. He spent the weekend building his network with other closers who were also, just starting to sell and also just starting to see some really good success. Guys like KJ, Justin, Kieran, Ryan, Bailey. We broke up the room into small, intimate groups as well, where we would get really tactical on specific challenges, some of the closers we were facing. Giles was talking about a certain kind of buyer that was like plaguing him. I forget exactly what it was, but we were going back and forth, role playing it out right here. Everyone shadowed Dylan as well. He took a live call for everybody in attendance. We had like 60, 70 people just watching Dylan in silence, and he closed a 10K deal on the first call for everyone, which was really cool. And on day 3, my partners, Aman, Rome, and I, we broke down how to unlock new career pathways, like things like sales management, content, becoming an equity and profit share partner is a big one. The different skill sets and the different ways that you can go about doing something like this. The day 3 we put on for a lot of the guys in the room who are already seeing some really good results. And really the whole goal behind it was to kind of show them what the next level was, right? Show them the path that was ahead of them in the next 1 to 3 years. Things that myself and my guys learned only, a few years into the game, right? Our goal, like that was really our goal with this entire mastermind, right? Is that we've spent 5 years in the industry. Everyone in attendance, most spent less than a year, some less than 6 months. Right? Our goal was to take all of the lessons that we've learned, going through all the hardships, problems, challenges, where we can just translate them over to those in attendance, and they can take the lessons without all the time, stress, and headache that went into learning them. After the event, we actually invited Giles and 5 other closers to stay at our office for the next month, so that they can close side by side with some of our top guys on our sales floor. Giles, few others, they all got Airbnbs around the office. They would come in every single morning and they would stay till late. Giles spent a full month closing side by side with Dimitri, sitting right next to him, watching him take 20 plus calls a day in a month where he brought in 160 grand in sales selling a 10K real estate offer, right? The proximity to closers bringing in 20K a month plus, the high intimacy sales training from the mastermind, combined with the previous momentum Giles had already built, all allowed him to do this immediately after the event, right? $500 day in commissions, $600 day, $820 day, $830 day, and he finished off that month at 9.6K US in commissions. Not quite 10, pretty damn close. After this month, right, he spent a full month with us in the office, closing every day. We'd be going out to dinners, things like that after. He flew out to Miami, where he would spend a month working directly with the client that he was selling for at the time. He had invited all of them out. And, keep in mind, right, in January, Giles was stuck in his dorm room getting over his fear of doing role plays. 6 months later, he's clearing $1,000 a day in commissions. He's hanging out with a multi-millionaire network, hanging out with his client and some of the individuals in his client's network, going out to dinners in Miami and closing deals out of his 2-story penthouse. There's a screenshot of him on the balcony taking some Zoom calls. On top of that, add to that his client getting him a yacht charter for his birthday. So I think his client owed him a couple $100 in commissions for a bonus or something. And he was like, you know what, I'll just get you a yacht and we'll go hang out on that for the day. Really cool stuff. What's next? Okay, let's talk about this. So while out in Toronto and Miami, Giles was exposed to a lifestyle that he wasn't at all accustomed to, right? He's in school. He's surrounded by people who are just kind of focused on getting that degree, working their way up the corporate ladder, and playing that game, right? He had spent full 6 months immersed in, myself and my team and our culture, right? Dealing with myself, some of our guys who were doing big numbers, hanging out with his client and his network and everyone on his team as well, traveling, learning, The entire time making thousands of dollars in commissions a month and getting better every single month. Where in that 6-month period, if you noticed, every month he made more than the previous. During this time, he was juggling with the idea of dropping out of school for a while. I know he had some pressure from his family to continue to pursue his degree. We had a few conversations about this. He asked me about it a couple times. Because a long time ago, I was kind of in the same situation. I ended up dropping out. I gave him some advice, but at the end of the day, I told him he shouldn't need mine or anyone else's opinion, and that he would know in his gut if it's the right decision to burn the boats and go all in. He has since officially done exactly that, dropping out of school, and he's actually, as we speak, working on leasing a condo in Miami where he can work directly with his client every single day. Now, don't get the wrong idea. Giles is far from finished. In fact, I personally think he's only getting started, and I know he thinks the same. To this day, he's hopping on live trainings. He's scheduling one-on-ones with us where we can talk about areas where we can improve his game. From some of the very first few calls I had with Giles, I could tell he had a strong understanding that the success that he was after was tied directly to his skill development and his personal growth. And that's how we know he's going to continue to hit new levels in the coming year. Okay, so let's recap. Before we started working together, Giles had spent 2 years in university studying for a degree on a direct path to a classic 9-to-5 desk job. While he was there, he spent his free time trying to build online businesses, but nothing worked. Complex business models, high expenses, low profit margins, and most importantly, Giles told me a feeling of a lack of control just turned him off from all of it. Initially, he wasn't set on going full-time as a closer at first. A lot of people come into this and they're like, hey, I want to drop my job, or I want to drop out of school as a closer. He wasn't sure exactly what he wanted to do, but from what he told me, he understood how mastering the skill of sales could change his life, and he wanted a way to make thousands of dollars a month, working on his own terms, working online. At the time, 0 prior sales experience and no real network of people around him as an example as to what's possible outside of the traditional path. After taking him through the Millionaire Closer training protocol, training him on the 10-step framework, role-playing every variation of it, and doing it under the guidance of myself and 7 other closers in our agency, actively bringing in over $100,000 a year, in almost 90 days of consistent training, Giles was able to go through a full sales call at a higher level than most closers can. We used our network in the space to vouch for him and plug him into a reputable high-ticket offer where he had a clear pathway to $10,000 a month and beyond. And we continue to work with Giles after that, helping him identify blind spots in his skill set, cutting the trial and error, allowing him to scale his commissions significantly faster than he'd be able to relying on just the training from his offer. And in his first 120 days closing on the offer, he was able to bring in over $25,000 in commissions, clearing $10,000 in a single month. And you want to know what happened the month after that? After helping him build a close relationship with his client, they actually reinvested into him, getting him a $5,000 ticket at Patrick Bet-David's Vault conference that he did in Florida this year. Here's Giles with his client. There's Justin as well. The thing is, unlike most closers that bounce from offer to offer every 2 months, right? I see this so much where closers are just bouncing around. They might sell on like 3 offers at the same time. They're constantly uncertain about like month to month, what's going to happen, how much money are they going to make, is their offer just going to shut down? Unlike all of that, now Giles had a long-term career secured with his client, and he's positioned to take on a leadership role in the near future. We expect he's going to be able to get to $15,000 or more before he reaches the 1-year mark in his journey. Remember, in sales, your income and your success is directly correlated to your personal development. When you lay the groundwork to learn high-level skill sets, you automatically put yourself miles ahead of everyone else that's too lazy to put in the work. When you do that, okay, when you put in the work, when you develop the skill sets over a period of a few short months, business owners are going to feel lucky that they're able to pay you tens of thousands of dollars every single month, and you're going to be in a position where you've permanently reset the minimum amount of money you make for the rest of your life. And the crazy thing is all this happened with Giles in just 6 months. This isn't even the fastest that we've done it. Here's KJ, who hit $13,500 his second month on an offer, and he's on track to hit $30,000 in commissions his 3rd month on the offer. So this screenshot was from the 10th of October, $10,000 in 10 days. Pretty cool. Or Zach, who trained for only 30 days before we connected him with a business funding offer where he was selling a $5,000 program, taking a 10% commission, I believe. earning 6K a week in his first 60 days selling on that offer. Or Matt, who had zero prior sales experience before he started working with us. We trained him up and he found an opportunity where he was able to make 10 grand a month every single month since March of this year. And this is in British pounds, so like 12K a month US, I believe. And he hit 17K for September, doing 340K total sales, taking a 5% commission on that. The thing is, my main business at the end of the day is my sales agency. Okay, building my sales teams, training my guys, and scaling for the clients that we sell with. Over the last 5 years, our closers have closed tens of millions in high ticket sales revenue. The success of our business, bottom line, comes down to our ability to develop sales talent fast and connect those individuals with proven high ticket offers. And we've gotten pretty good at doing that. Everything in our training is built to just reverse engineer the exact steps that our top closers implement so that other people can see the same results that they did in a fraction of the time. And as a result of that, we see results like this every single month, whether that's making 10, 15, 20K a month, or guys making 5, 6, 7K a month and being able to leave their 9-to-5s and just have a little bit more freedom in their lives. Now, my question for you is do you want to be the next one? Now that you understood exactly how this process works and you've spent, I don't know, over an hour at this point watching this video, we have an offer for you. If you're someone who is ready to earn a full-time living in high ticket sales, if you're someone who is currently in sales and you're looking for a higher leverage opportunity, and you're highly coachable, whether you have experience or you don't, and you're wanting to break into the high ticket sales space without having to send out hundreds of DMs to find roles or build a personal brand to go about it, you're wanting to build a long-term career as a closer with full freedom and flexibility of time and your location, and also expand your network and work side by side with individuals with a proven track record. My team and I will help you master the 10-step closing framework through our Millionaire Closer training protocol so that you can replicate this exact process for you and see similar results to Giles in a fraction of the time it would take you to do it on your own. In fact, I'm so confident that we can deliver these results for you. If you do not earn 10K with this in your first 6 months, we will work with you indefinitely until you do. Meaning we will continue to train you at the same level that we worked with Giles on a one-on-one level until you hit that mark. Okay, and if you want to see similar results to Giles and you want the same level of training and career guidance, there's going to be an application link down below to book a call with me. You and I will put together a custom game plan to make sure that we can actually help you accomplish these results. And if we both feel confident that we can, awesome, we can talk about how we can work together. Worst case scenario, if it's not a great fit, we'll do our best to point you in the right direction. I'm looking forward to speaking to you soon. Take care and good luck.